Okay, it is Saturday the 27th of May. Get the login from last night. Alright. This is the one I'm looking forward to, but as you can see, I have a pretty significant login streak, and I'm not gonna lose that yet. So, keep that going. Okay, so last battle played. Last battle of the first 10 I did 2 nights ago on the 25th. So that's that. Okay, now on to a little bit of an update over the past roughly week of situation scenario with War Thunder. So starting out with the Steam reviews and the fact that Steam's what do you call it? Auto spam review protection kicked in and moved off-topic replies. It didn't. The replies or reviews. Sorry, not replies. The reviews. The reviews have not been deleted. They've just been moved into the off-topic section, which you can actually see. So if you click on the mostly negative here, you can see it says 18,000 recent reviews. You click on mostly negative, it'll bring you to here's the reviews. And here is the excluding off-topic review activity. If you click on this, it'll refresh, and those will show up. Now, it still shows the recent reviews mostly negative here because they're still being excluded. So if you click on Edit Preferences, you can tell it include reviews from all Steam purchases, and then there you go. The reviews are still there. They're just hidden from the front page because that's Steam's automatic protection showing in. Imagine some small competitor game to some large AAA developer had some game that totally blew that large game developer game out of the water, and that large game developer paid a bunch of people to just do a shitload of reviews like this. And that little tiny game developer never got any attention because of it. That's what happened here. Now, the reviews, mostly, obviously, the gigantic community of War Thunder is very, very, very much fed up. There's no getting around that. But as far as the reviews go, enough of them happened quickly enough that it seemed like a DDoS type review period. So I'm not surprised that they got kicked off and a lot of them got removed. Almost 100,000 of them got removed to off-topic protection. And my review, I'll show you my review. It's still there. As far as I can tell, it hasn't been pushed off to you know, a not helpful review or anything, or off topic, because I did describe the game and things that bother me about it, so I don't think that's actually a problem with my review. Other than that, yeah, let's talk about Gaijin's Apology. After, this is from the 23rd, so I'm a few days behind on this one, but getting back to it, now there's a few things about this. I'm just going to read the whole thing out loud. It's not very long. This has been covered by other content creators already, but I want to put it here on my channel just in case somehow any of you who are watching haven't seen this. Alright, so from the 23rd of May. Dear players, firstly, we would like to extend our sincerest apologies to each and every one of you. We deeply regret the fact that our actions have let you down, and that we have failed to adequately address the concerns that you have voiced over time. We share your passion for the game, and it pains us that our decisions have not lived up to your expectations. Over the past week, we've been diligently analyzing the feedback you've provided. We acknowledge and agree with your concerns regarding the balance of the economy, silver lions, and research points, as well as modification research. We have therefore prioritized addressing these issues as our immediate concern. We are in the process of creating a plan to tackle these problems. While we have made some initial progress in understanding the scope of these issues and potential solutions, we anticipate providing a more detailed roadmap by the 14th of June. We understand the urgency you feel for these changes to be implemented, and we assure you we share your eagerness. However, given the scale and complexity of a project like War Thunder, some time is required to ensure that any changes we make are both effective and beneficial to the player experience. We are also continually reviewing the vast array of other feedback and suggestions we receive. Rest assured, these are important to us and will be addressed, but at this moment, our first priority remains the game's economics and progression. We are truly sorry for the disappointment and frustration we have caused. We commit to you that we are doing everything we can to improve the game and regain your trust. Thank you for your understanding and patience during this time. We value your continued support and your dedication to the game we all love. Okay, so, first thing, the very first paragraph to me sounds extremely like in comparison to the condescending response from Kirill Udintsev that was a few days ago, well, a few days prior to this. This bit sounds here like rather than being written directly by one of the Udintsev brothers, this sounds like they hired a Western corporate PR lawyer to write this first paragraph. And then in the second paragraph, it transitions from corporate lawyer speak into actually something talking about War Thunder specific details. So, I think what may have happened here is they got a lawyer to write this first bit. And probably a lawyer worked with like a team developer type thing. Maybe even a Western point of view person to write this whole thing. Because this really sounds much more like what a letter to the players would be if it was written with a Western point of view in mind, that written for a Western audience. So, definitely sounds like it to me. At first, I'd seen some people talking about this sounds like an AI wrote this, but I don't think so because it's too specific about the War Thunder aspects of it. So I don't think it was AI written personally. I know eventually it's going to get to the point where things that are written by AI are going to be difficult to discern from things that are written by humans. But I just don't feel like this one was written by AI. I think it was more written by like a lawyer with somebody from the English-speaking side of the development team working with them. And honestly, regarding the content of this letter, I think it's good, personally. I think it's a start. It's not the end-all of the issues, obviously, because they haven't actually done anything yet. But this response is what we were looking for as far as getting them to not ignore our concerns and to actually address concerns that the player base in general is bringing up. So they asked to, they just, they explained that it's going to take, they didn't ask us to give them time. They really didn't. But I don't think it's crazy to, hold till the 14th of June, see what kind of roadmap comes out with this, and see if they implement some changes right there and how reasonable those changes appear, then to discuss further, boycotting / uninstalling / quitting altogether / etc. More drastic means of, letting them know how dissatisfied the player base is. So for now, circle the 14th of June on your calendars. If you don't want to play until then, by all means, do so. Take a 2-week break from the game. You might find that just a 2-week break with no changes makes you feel better because that built-up, constant, pent-up, festering, boiling frustration might, cool off a bit over 2 weeks. You might decide, you know what, my life is better without War Thunder, and just walk away and never come back again. And if that's the case, that's going to be for the best for everyone. Me, personally, I'm probably going to play a little bit. I've been playing severely reduced playtime over the past few weeks anyhow already through a number of reasons. Partially frustration with the game, partially some life things going on, partially just my work time is taking more time out of my free time to actually do War Thunder playing. And just some other things going on too. Just more sitting with my family, watching shows and playing Wii bowling together, actually. Has just been something we've been doing again lately. So that's a little bit more of my War Thunder free time diverted and devoted to that. And I have no problem with that. I'm actually enjoying that. But as far as this response letter goes from Gaijin to the players, I think this is a good start. I think that they realized that a lot of the backlash was coming from a Western point of view type audience, and they wrote this letter, I feel like, to be directly addressing a Western point of view of all the complaints that were being made. So I think this is good from the perspective of a PR response, but I also think for now it is just a PR response, and we will need to see some real concrete actual changes made to the game before we decide, yeah, all right, this is acceptable. You've met us in the middle. So this is a good step in the right way. No threats about shutting the game down, anything like that in here. addressing, saying, hey, we heard you. You got our attention through all the various means you used, whether it was the Steam reviews, whether it was all the posts on all of the content creator videos and the official War Thunder videos and the official War Thunder dev blogs. All those things got through to them. All the comments on the forums. So bear that in mind for the future. We can, in fact, get their attention. There are different ways and different varying methods of different varying efficiencies in doing so, but it is possible. So for a final review on this, I think it's a good letter. It's a good start, but be cautiously optimistic at best and wait and see what happens on or about the 14th of June. And then finally, today, this morning, the 27th, they released a dev team response to questions from the YouTube community and content creators. So there was a forum, or sorry, not a forum, a what do you call it? A survey that they put on the content creator Discord and on YouTube, and I'm gonna go through some. Let's see, it's kind of long. Should we go through all of them? Yeah, what the hell? There can't be only one content creator that does 45-minute videos out of blog posts, so might as well throw my hat in that ring too. All right, so we'll read all these. So this is a question and then answer in the question in the blue, and then an answer from Gaijin in the lighter gray here. They mostly left the questions untouched, but for some of them, if there were a lot of questions that were very similar to each other, they tried to consolidate very, very, very similar questions into a single question. So some of the questions may not be specifically what the content creators or YouTube people wrote. I personally did not write one because I just, at the time, I had to go to work the day that they put this out, and I just didn't want to try to formulate a single problem that I felt was the biggest thing. But a lot of the questions I would have had are addressed in here, and I will mention those as we go. So first question. We are concerned about the comparatively low efficiency of the post-penetration effect of low-caliber heat rounds. For example, on such vehicles as the RU-251, Albel 74, German M41, AML-90, PT-76, T-92, etc. Gaijin's response: we're planning to rework certain aspects of shape-charged jets for lower-caliber rounds. These rounds do have a very narrow post-penetration jet, and there are lots of real-world examples of instances where lightly armored vehicles remain mobile and even in fighting condition after taking a hit from heat. Because of this, we don't plan on making these particular munitions overly powerful, but in regards to destroying modules and incapacitating crew in the path of the jet, we are planning some changes that will make their damage more consistent. Okay? Sounds good. Wait and see. Next question. Light vehicles might be very die-hard, in other words, hard to kill. Being able to absorb 3 to 4 rounds because fuses are unable to arm. And the response: this is a big topic for players and a common talking point inside our team as well. There are several possibilities we're considering, but they will take some time to develop. We're keenly aware of this issue, though, and will introduce a solution if and when we can. Alright. They can't figure it out yet. They're working on it. Alright. Question. Is it possible to make 3D decorations physical so they can detach from vehicles when hit? This is... I see no problem with this question. It's a good question. It's cosmetic. It's not fixing, the big main game changes, but I think it's fine. The answer: great idea. We'll look into how complicated this would be to implement, and if it is indeed possible, we'll aim to make them destructible and prone to catching fire as well. I think that would be funny. Here's one that's a good question that I would not have thought of, and I do really like this question. Is it possible to refine the reloading mechanics when the loader is knocked out during a gun misfire and the reload cycle starts again? Absolutely, it's a good point to bring up, especially for vehicles with a very long load time. We have a solution in mind for this one. We can try to save the reload progress after a certain percent of the reload cycle is reached, say 80% for example. At this stage, the round is already in the breech, and they spelled breech wrong, or used the wrong breech. That's spelled right, but it's the wrong word. At this stage, the round is already in the breech, so there will be no need to start the entire process over. Also, for 2-part ammunition, the loading process could be split into 2 stages, so the cycle won't reset to the start if one part of the projectile has been prepared and the loader gets knocked out. Alright. Fair enough. Wait and see. Next question. Do you plan to increase the mobility of heavy tanks and slow SPGs in the RB mode like it is in the arcade? No. God, no. Sorry, that was my answer. Gaijin's answer, no, this one isn't in our plans. RB is where vehicles should behave as authentically as possible. Low mobility is just a real-world drawback these kinds of vehicles have. And personally, I'm fully on board with Gaijin on this one. If you drive a heavy tank, you know what you're doing. I get that it is frustrating sometimes where it takes forever to get to there. And one of my biggest complaints is how slow vehicles drive in the game. But for this one, no. What I want as a compensation is I want the armor and the firepower to be, better to compensate for the mobility. There is the triangle of armor, firepower, and mobility. The heavy tanks are supposed to have one or two of those two triangle aspects and not have the mobility one. So I would like to see where, your armor is able to compensate you taking too long to get to the battle, or your firepower is able to compensate, but that's me. Okay, next question. Do you like the idea of giving free backups when purchasing top-tier premium vehicles? Well, so my personal answer on this, I don't like it because I don't like the idea of being able to purchase top-tier premium vehicles right from the start. However, if you have a certain level of experience in the game, I think it's fine, and therefore the question is based around, obviously, the players who are buying these without having a lineup. But if that's what it takes to get them to stay in the battle, I guess that's a compromise solution, because I know they're not going to figure out a way, they're not going to come up with a way to stop people from being able to buy these right at the start of joining the game, creating an account, because they want people to spend that 60, 70 bucks on it. But anyways, Gaijin's answer is we do. We'll consider putting an initial amount of free backups with high-tier premiums in the future to incentivize players to stay in battle. So it's not the answer that I want, but it is an answer that does address the problem that I have with it. So, sometimes you have to accept that you're not going to fully get what you want, but you're going to get something towards it. In this case, I might have to just accept that. Question: there are still turret desync bugs. Yeah, that's not a question, but I don't deny it. That's certainly, I had that happen to me in the Merkava Mark 1B first 10 I did 2 nights ago on the 25th. And the answer is it's a complicated issue to solve, but an important one. We're currently working on a fix. Okay. Next question: is it possible to get rid of the desync of server and client? And honestly, I agree with Gaijin on this answer, but the answer is, unfortunately, in any network model, including ours, desynchronization between the server and the client is sadly inevitable. And sure, that makes sense. Unless you're playing on a LAN, that's going to happen. This is a con for sure. The pro, however, is that these desyncs usually do not affect the gameplay for all players, which is important. The War Thunder networking model, State Sync, was chosen to be the most cheater-proof in contrast to lag compensation models like in CS. And more importantly, it allows us to implement relatively realistic physical interactions. The shortcoming of our model is that there's a possibility of minor and more rarely major desyncs, as all clients see the possible present of all players instead of recordings of the past. The lower a player's ping, the less often desyncs happen, but they will still happen anyway. Yeah, I don't really have any argument to that. Next question: any chance to fix the bug spotting when vehicles are invisible for no reason? Good question. This issue comes from the server's anti-cheat algorithms. We do our best to sync them with the game render, but in a dynamic environment with huge open spaces and various client pings, it's unfortunately impossible to maintain perfect synchronization. That's not really an answer of what you can do to fix it, but it's sort of an answer to the question. I wish there was a better answer to that, because that definitely happens a lot. Next question: damage by excessive pressure needs more calibration, and also damage of high caliber shells of ground vehicles need to be increased. Yeah, their answer is, for improvements like these, we need some more precise examples, as there's a lot of factors involved here. Often issues in this area are not reliably reproducible, so we'd appreciate any replays or recordings of issues you found so we can investigate them more effectively. It's easiest to do this in the hangar. I don't know what you mean about... You mean do this in the test drive? Because I'm not sure where you mean the hangar. Huh, alright, so they need further info about that. So, if you have something like this happen, I guess report it and send the replay. Next question: please fix the bug that doesn't allow you to turn over the tank if it's turned upside down and lies on top of the turret. Yes, I agree with that one. Yes, it's very rare but annoying when it occurs. We'll look into a fix. Okay. Next question. Do you have plans to create a tutorial on mechanics of top-tier vehicles, such as anti-aircraft missile systems, drones, etc., with an option to customize controls for such mechanics? Yes, we do, is the answer. We're planning various tutorial elements for our more modern systems. That's overdue, Gaijin. That is overdue. I'm glad you have plans to do so. I hope you're planning to do it soon. Maybe even reward some GE for completing those tutorials. Next question. Due to the difference in the vehicle generations, there are big problems on Rank 5, particularly on BR 7.0 to 8.0, where there are tanks with APF SDS and stabilizers, and tanks without those. Gaijin's answer is, indeed, the technology jump in this BR range is problematically abrupt. We'll pay special attention to this area in particular and come up with some solutions. Okay? Wait and see. Next question. The Killer Hunter feature is toxic and requires a 2 to 3 second delay to make it possible for the commander to take over or react somehow. I agree here 100%, and their answer is a delay here would make sense. We'll consider this. So even honestly like a 1 second delay, but as there was quite a discussion in the CC Discord about this without getting into specifics, and I didn't see anyone who was against this. It was all mostly discussion was how much delay would it need to be for it to make sense, because you get the drop on somebody, you shoot into them, the gunner gets killed, but somehow the APF SDS round gets stopped by the gunner's body and doesn't hit the commander, or hits the commander in the legs or something, and the commander is able to just turn and immediately return fire with the commander gun controls. So, yeah. Okay, next question. Currently, graphics can noticeably influence player skill. For example, an enemy tank can be almost invisible in deep shadow until it fires. Locations are full of decorative elements that overload players' attention. Is it possible to brighten up the shadows and lose some greenery and decorations on the locations? Gaijin's answer, it's a tough question that requires more complex solutions and precise fixes rather than a sort of global update to the graphics. The thing is, we can't just make a game where pro players have their own minimalistic graphics mode, while more casual players have a different one, since that's just not fair. As an aside here from me, I feel like that's already what we have with minimum graphics. But anyway, back to their answer. Dumbing down the game graphically so it's purely structured around competitive gaming also isn't an option. Our game has and always will be oriented towards a wide spectrum of players with different tastes and preferences. So on this one, we'll have to look at more specific elements that could be improved. Alright. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that one. I'm going to get a drink real quick, and then we'll move on to the next question. Okay, next question. Upgrading helicopters through PvE is too long and hard, and their stock versions are all often almost unplayable in other modes. I agree with that. I've tried helicopter PvE maybe twice, and it was absolutely not playable in my opinion. Gaijin's answer, we're currently trying to figure out what to do with the mode. We'll announce our decisions at a later time. Alright, so wait and see. Next question. Remove volumetric damage. It makes certain tanks too well defended. Track fenders and side skirts absorb hits. And, Russian fuel tanks. Gaijin's answer. Volumetric damage brings many tanks closer to their correct level of protection. Tigers and Panthers, for example. And this can't be achieved without maintaining our current realistic armor model. However, as with every complex system, it's hard to perfect across the board. We need your reports here. You can send us your replays or record anomalies in the hangar. Yeah, by the hangar, I think they mean test drives. I don't know why they keep saying hangar, but anyway. In all cases where volumetric and every other damage system isn't working correctly, we will fix it, or at least we'll do our best to. We appreciate that volumetric was a big adjustment to tank battles, as it wasn't present from the start of the game and thus required some adaptation. But we believe this more realistic armor model adds to War Thunder, so we'll work hard on improving it as much as possible. Doesn't sound like it's going away, but at least it sounds like they acknowledge it's certainly not a perfect system, and they're trying to work on it, so wait and see. Next question. Decrease the numbers of all convoy AAA in during confrontation, and or give them less accuracy. And the answer is we fixed this one already in production, and I saw that in some message or dev blog somewhere in the past couple days. I saw something about it, so that's good, I guess. Next question. For air sim float plane spawns, instead of spawning all the way back on the map and taking 25 minutes to get in the battle, have it be able to spawn at any airfield or spawn on the fleet with your float planes. Suggest when spawning on any airfield, of course, you spawn in the air. And if you spawn on your fleet, have it spawn you in the water next to your carrier. Answer from Gaijin. We'll think about this one. The current system was chosen based on player requests. However, there are not many float planes, and they're almost universally slow, so it probably won't negatively impact immersion too much if they spawn in the air closer to the action. A good answer, I guess. Doesn't seem to break anything, so sure, we can do that kind of answer, which is good. Next question. I would like to see if War Thunder Naval Arcade could be made a bit more arcadey to attract more people to the mode, mainly by making range finding faster so it might be more fun to play. Maybe also add what ammo to shoot at which target, Maybe also add what ammo to shoot at which target so people have more of an idea when to use AP or HE and SAP. Gaijin's answer, we agree here, we'll try to do something to make the mode more approachable, and we'll likely start with range finding. Okay, fair enough. Next question. The attack drones should be removed. They don't bring anything new to the table. Helicopters and planes do the same, except that they are much harder to hit/kill. With that, there aren't really any counters against them except high-tier AAs. And Gaijin's answer, we've spent a lot of time gathering examples and analyzing feedback regarding drones. We're going to move them up to a higher BR where they can be more easily countered by advanced AA systems. Alright. Next question. Here's one I definitely agree with 100%. Suggestion to stop helicopters and other aircraft from firing their weapons after they are considered dead by the game, as it's not enjoyable to die to a player you've already beaten. We got that right. Gaijin's answer, in reality, destroying an aircraft in terms of inflicting damage that makes the aircraft uncontrollable doesn't make it harmless. We do like this last chance aspect to gameplay. There's a beast deep inside you. It will not die. It will fight back. Referring back to one of their videos. It's a system that goes both ways. Firstly, it is realistically possible, and it might make a player's day to get a kill with doomed aircraft. Yeah, realistically it's possible, but realistically, if a pilot in any vehicle is in such a case, they're going to be either ejecting or just grabbing the sides of the vehicle and realizing, holy shit, I'm about to go in, this is it, it's over. They're not going to be like, oh, better take as many of them with me as I can, because most of the time they're not going to do that. Also, when you shoot a helicopter's tail off and it's spinning uncontrollably, the pilot's going to G out or red out in seconds. They're not going to be able to see anything to shoot at it, but back to their answer. However, we do see the issues it brings, especially with misleading kill messages. We need to do a bit more thinking on this one. So, in other words, we like our KA-50s to be able to continue to fire. So we'll get back to you. Final question. Oh, sorry, not the final question. Final question from this section. Suggestion to allow phasing through teammates at the start of the match to prevent blocking in the same way Air Realistic has just after taking off. Or after just taking off. I don't really like their answer. Their answer is, we can't see a way to do this one for ground vehicles. Players inevitably will exploit it. When spawning, players will deliberately try to drive through each other to end the cooldown while taking up the same space, which will cause a lot of issues, unfortunately. Now, I understand what they're saying there. Griefers are going to just try and be phased into another vehicle and wait until the phasing part expires, so that the physics in the game will inevitably probably bounce the two of them across and send tanks flying. And I understand that. Or they'll try and, be a heavier tank in front of a light vehicle or something. I get that, but I still wonder why you couldn't do that. Anyway. In the other section. Question. Add the ability to report racists, homophobes, and similar to customer support. Gaijin's answer, good idea. We'll add an easier way to report such instances. Each in-game report already has a chat log attached. Creating an automatic screenshot or something along those lines, though, is much harder and can introduce difficulties. We'll try to show the chat log to the user submitting a report to streamline the process. Okay, good. Good answer. What I would also like here would be cheaters. On top of these are important, but how about an ability to report suspected cheating? Because right now there is no suspected cheating. There's just either abuse or other. And I believe for abuse, they mean like verbal abuse, but I consider it to be abusing the game. I usually report them under other rather than abuse, though. Okay, next section, matchmaking. Question. Please add more maps to the top tier ARB 12.0 BR, even smaller maps. Some maps are very rare. Gaijin's answer. Currently, we have 10 maps at this BR. Certain maps will appear more rarely if players have them banned. We'll aim to add more maps at this rating. For smaller maps, though, players often request less of this for top tier jets. Usually words like claustrophobic are used. Yeah, especially with, missiles that range out 20 to 30 to 40 to 70 to 100 kilometers. Alright. They said they'll add more maps. Fair enough. Next question. For me, the big problem is the size of the maps on ARB. It happens that prop planes are thrown on a simulation map. Please remove large maps from ARB on low and medium tiers. Gaijin's answer. Agreed. Big maps can become boring sometimes when populated with slower aircraft with a lot of downtime between engagements. When we implement a way of displaying which maps appear at which BRs, see below, we'll adjust the appearance of large maps at the lower tiers. Why didn't you just put that question first? Regarding smaller maps for top tiers, though, see the request above. We're not trying to add smaller maps to fast jet battles, and we'll try to introduce less instances of this. However, currently, many players do still ask for them. So, okay. Figure out which one outweighs the other and go with that. Next question. I'd like you to increase the chances of going into battle on a vehicle of maximum available for this battle BR. Okay, so this is, I want more chances of being the highest tier vehicle and get a down tier for everyone. I once performed an experiment and found out that I got into battles using the highest BR vehicles only in 11 to 14% of cases. Sure, overcoming hardship is valuable, but not that often. It's demoralizing. Alright, so Gaijin's answer. Ultimately, the session consists of players within your BR spread who are currently in the queue. There's no additional factors that directly put you at a certain battle rating. On top of this, regarding full up tiers, only 4 players on each team have the possibility of being at the top BR. So even if you were at a lower BR relatively in a match, you won't be fighting a team entirely comprised of vehicles more advanced than yours. Except for when your team all spawns in an M22s and doesn't use their top battle rating vehicle. But, alright. Next question. Add an unlimited amount of bans / 5 bans. Gaijin's answer. The problem with this one is that we already have situations with the current 1 ban system where some maps are rarely ever played. Well, hint hint. Adding additional bans, 5 bans for sure, will lead to situations where all available maps are banned from the current queue, meaning matches won't be able to start at all or only after significant waiting times. Well, sounds like feedback to me. More maps, new maps, adjust the current maps so people will unban them. Next question. Add some way to vote for map / map preferences. And Gaijin's answer. This is something we want to think about more. We are willing to have some kind of voting system in place, but at the same time, it's important for players to have a variety of maps too, especially as certain vehicles are inevitably more suitable for certain styles of map. I agree with Gaijin here. I like that they're willing to consider it, but I do agree that variety of maps is important. There are a few maps that I would just... There are a few maps that personally I would just play that map, or, 1, 2, 3, 4, only give me these 4 maps ever. But some of the other maps, it is good to have a different map and be like, let's do something different this time. So, I'm okay with that. Next question. Add BR limitations for each map and show it to players. This is a great one. Gaijin agrees. Good idea. Showing the BR range for a map in the map preferences window would be very useful. We'll try to implement it. Good. Thank you. Oh my god. We're getting there. We're more than halfway. Next question. My biggest and worst problem in War Thunder is maps in Ground RB that I don't want to play. Small maps in top tier battles. Things like Berlin, Finland, Cargo Port, Alaska, Small Fulda, Small Marginal Line, etc. Gaijin's answer. We also don't like all of the maps at high ranks as well, although players' opinions differ. Many players like Finland or Berlin at high ranks, but at the same time, many also don't. Okay? But as suggested above, we'll introduce a way to show BR limitations for maps. The enjoyment a map brings is very often subjective, or is often very subjective, I'm sure. But in instances where a particular map is noticeably widely disliked, we will pay it extra attention. Okay, like I said above, that all those map bans and dislikes are feedback to that map. Okay, missions and locations. In Tank RB, we often get battle mode where it says with points already captured, but they mean there's no uncapped points like in Conquest or Domination. So back to the question. In Tank RB, we often get battle mode with points already captured, and that demotivates the players from moving. I think this mode should go. Gaijin's response, these scenarios can foster a more sedentary style of gameplay and will probably reduce the chance of these maps appearing in the rotation and likely remove some of them. Okay, cool. Next question, I'd like the developers to manage the maps in a way so that modern vehicles won't appear in World War II locations like Berlin. Gaijin's answer is, we partially agree on Berlin and maybe Rhine too, but not generally. We'll try to remove the most obvious elements from maps that specifically relate to a certain time frame to make them more universal, and we'll think about introducing a modern version of Berlin 2 that could be interesting. Well, add one of Moscow too, fellas. Next question, do you plan to exclude night missions from rotation in case the player doesn't have night vision? And night vision and thermal sight modules, or maybe introduce an option to disable those missions. Gaijin's answer, we have decided to make night battles optionally available. We'll announce exactly how this will be implemented a bit later. Good answer. Next question. Collision models of various obstacles, garbage, and other things should be either removed, replaced, or reworked. Agree with that. Gaijin's answer, we're working on it. Collision with even small objects can be jarring sometimes in certain circumstances. Any examples you have of such issues with screenshots and descriptions will really help us improve this area as quickly as possible. And this is a link to community.gaijin.net/issues/p/War Thunder. So that's an issue to reporting on the forums. For instance, the mailboxes on the Sun City map that are completely impenetrable obstacles. Next question. It would be great to increase the duration of session creation to increase the number of players in battles and make them more intense. I think that waiting for 20 more seconds in the hangar and not ending up in an 8v8 battle on a large map is worth it. Gaijin's, in other words, increase the queue times. We don't care, we don't mind. A longer queue time for a better battle is something that players will accept. Gaijin's answer, we'll think about this one. Unfortunately, there's no universal solution regarding a bracket of queue time that would apply to every situation, but some additional matchmaking options could improve the situation. Okay. Next question. Can I have a drink first? Okay. Next question, are there any plans to additionally reward the top 5 players at the end of the battle? We do have plans along these lines for sure, but we're just not sure if rewarding the top positions is the healthiest way to go. It's tempting and a good reward, but it creates unhealthy competition for those 5 places, meaning that players may be compelled to grief or get in the way of those in lead. And I do agree with that last bit, but if there were some real healthy rewards for being in the top 5, that's a great way to incentivize people to stick around in battles longer and respawn. So maybe give this one some thought, Gaijin. Okay, next question. Regarding European province, this city part is well done because it is a separate small location. The open terrain around can be shot through the hills, and there's also the possibility of shooting from one spawn to another. Gaijin's answer, indeed, we're aware of the problems here. We will aim to fix the instances where it's possible to engage from spawn to spawn in some of the higher BRs. Please do so. Please do so. Next question, surroundings of Volokholamsk. Very large location with a huge unused space. If your flank is clean, then you're either too lazy or don't have enough time to react to the other one. I think it is necessary to leave only a small version of it. Gaijin's answer, it is certainly a large location with a lot of empty space. We've already changed the rotation settings for this map. Now it's only available in ground RB and only for the session rank of 9.7 and up, I think. Also, please note... Oh, a session rank of 9.7. I see what they mean. Also, please note, a session rank of 9.7 means that these are battles for vehicles between the ratings of 8.7 and 9.7. So, does that mean that only 8.7 and 9.7 for surroundings of Volokholamsk, like not top tier? Huh. Okay, if you say so. Next question. Red Desert. Huge spaces with shots from covers on the top of rocks. Maybe you will remove this location from the rotation? At the moment, Gaijin's answer is, at the moment, this map is only available from 9.7 and above, so the huge spaces can be crossed relatively quickly by the faster vehicles at this tier. Red Desert is also still in the top 5 most liked locations from our map-like system. However, we will keep an eye on its overall popularity among players. I don't know. Personally, I do like Red Desert, but there's definitely a lot of open space, and those top rock sniper positions do have a lot of range they can cover. But, you know, get some cast on your team and tell the cast to take them out, and if the cast works as a team and takes those guys out, then you can move on the ground. Combined arms. Next question. LL Main. Positions on the tops of the cliffs make it difficult to play. Line A and Line 8. Guidance answer, you're right. We'll fix them. Okay. Next question. Battle of Hurtgen Forest. Now in the rotation, we have the larger version where the activity of the players is lower than before. I propose to return the old version with 3 city capture points. Gaijin says, we don't see a decrease in activity in this arrangement, but the capture points really do need to be redone. We'll improve them. Okay, cool. Next question. Mozdok, Battle. The location is either for the fast tanks, which can take up positions at the beginning, or about standing at one point, as the respawn points are located opposite of each other and are shot through. There is no goal to capture the point, no goal to leave the position. Can this mission be removed? And this is the map that I have banned because of... To put this in slightly more English as a first language, there's a spawn here, there's a spawn here, there's a capture point in the middle here, this is a hill, this is a hill, this is flat ground. Everybody sits behind this hill and shoots here. Everybody sits behind this hill and shoots here. No one moves into the capture points. Agreed. They said... Gaijin's answer is, if it's possible, we will, yes. Not if it's possible. They said, it's possible, we will, yes. The mobility of the tanks that see this map do make its layout quite unsuitable. Okay. Fields of Poland. Next question. Fields of Poland. The situation here is better than with European province, although the expansion doesn't look justified everywhere. Gaijin's answer, perhaps we can remove the forests around the edges of the map and replace them with fields to deter players from focusing on the outskirts. I don't know how I like that one. Next question. Port Novorossiysk domination. The teams capture their points being fully defended and then meet up in front of a huge open area that makes them afraid to advance, so they just stick to the corridors. We need a full rework of the central point with safer passages from both sides. The fact that you can effectively fire from across the river also contributes to the stalemate, making players stay on the 7 line with 0 kills. I agree 100% on that. Gaijin, on the other hand, their answer is, we see your points, but have to disagree on this one. From our data and heat maps, and also personal experience, the map has a good intensity of action, and often it only takes 1 or 2 tanks from either team to funnel in behind enemy lines to break defenses. How do you expect people to get in behind the enemy lines to break the defenses when everything is a static stalemate? We'd also highly recommend some smoke shells for this map too if your tank carries them. As the sight lines are quite narrow, it's possible to block one entirely with a single shell, allowing your team time to advance. Now, I agree with that last bit, bringing smoke shells for the map, but you have to get to a position where you can fire the smoke shells, and you're going to get hit before you can fire them off. Also, trying to convince your team, hey, I'm going to shoot smoke shells over there, go ahead and advance and capture the B point is, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, next question. Sinai. A great map, but positions on spawn points on A1 to A2 get in the way. It's hard to get to the player who camps there. Would like for those positions to be removed on Sands of Sinai as well. Gaijin's answer, thank you for bringing this one up. We'll look into it. All right. Next question. Ardennes. There's a lot of excess space from A1 to C3, same as in the opposite corner on G8. It may seem like empty space, but we see these routes are often utilized by players. All right, I have nothing to contribute to that conversation. Next question. Poland, Abandoned Factory, and Eastern Europe. Examples of good maps. I'd like to see a new location in the future update that is similar in size and junction layout to these maps and hear the player feedback. Good, a suggestion to a new map. Gaijin's answer, we'll try to introduce a map along these lines in one of our next updates, probably at the end of the year. We're actually working on something quite similar to what you've described at the moment. Okay, good answer. I look forward to seeing that. And final question. Vietnam, have you considered partially draining the swamp on point A? Many players avoid it since it's so hard to move around there. Answer, yes, this is possible. That's a good point. Doesn't say they'll do it or not, but at least they said, yes, it's a good point. So, and then finally, we'd like to thank all of our players and creators who have submitted comments and suggestions for the development of the game. In this text, we've responded to the feedback we managed to sort and take into account. We appreciate everything you've sent us, even if it hasn't directly appeared in this text. We'd also like to remind you that this is only the beginning and we have a lot of work ahead of us. We plan on continuing to promptly share our upcoming plans with all of you, along with regularly answering your questions. The War Thunder team. Good! Please do so. We used to have regular question and answer sessions in dev blogs, and I hope you go back to that. And then for the comments, anything worth reading here? A lot of good responses with people saying, hey, good, 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 good. So I'm not going to read into too many just in case there's anything I don't want to show here. But also, I think this is probably a long enough video for this. So one last little bit. And the biggest thing that I've got is a brand new account being able to buy a top tier premium. But along with that, I think a larger overarching thing would be positively incentivizing players to stick around and keep playing longer in battles would also fix that problem. Potentially going with if they gave, backups and incentivizing, like, the more times you spawn, the less total repair cost you play. Something, anything. That's what I want to see as, the biggest fix. And, of course, I also want them to entirely revamp the economy and give lower repair costs, better rewards, bring back the proximity bonuses for being close to enemies, because you could also tell if you were close to an enemy because you could watch your score start ticking up. So that was a great little environmental clue that you're near an enemy. An enemy is close enough for your score to be going up, and hopefully you're probably both realizing it, but then you know there's an enemy nearby. Not just, I think someone's here, or you drive past someone and don't hear them because their engine's off. So, I like that. But anyways, thank you all very much for watching and listening, especially if you made it all the way to the end here. I really appreciate it. I'm kind of interested to see just how long this video lasted, because I didn't pay attention to what time I started recording. So, there we go. Let me know what you guys thought about this video, and if you want to see anything similar to this in the future. Otherwise, I will probably just keep going with the normal gameplay videos I've been doing, but personally, those have been starting to get kind of stale. And I'd like to do something a little more different. Now, obviously not this duration all the time, but, something a little more along these lines maybe to... something a little more along these lines to kind of vary things up a little on the channel and not just have the same rinse and repeat. I do a couple battles and get mad at my team quitting content. There you go, though. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you in the next video. Take care out there, everyone.